sports. They're very, but so the middle class, which, by the way, everybody in America, when they're polled, think that they're in the middle class.
Yeah.
And what do you think the middle class is? You know, and that's kind of interesting, because since everybody thinks they're in the middle class, it's pretty obvious that no,
It sounds
that's
like
not
it sounds
really
like
the
you're
case.
implying that middle class is over 100,000 a year.
Judging by tax rates, it technically is, that's upper middle class by tax brackets.
Yeah.
Lower middle class would be like, I don't even know.
Well, so, I mean, we have this culture that believes in the so-called middle class, but statistically, the middle class has been deteriorating ever since the 90s, and the divide then between the wealth and who has wealth and who doesn't is really splitting between a few individuals like Elon Musk and Zuckerberg and others that just hit it, you know, with a company that basically funded them tremendously, not necessarily because they did great things, right? It's not necessarily a compliment, really, you know, and yet and by the way, when you see like Mark Zuckerberg walking along, he looks so clueless. His wife, brilliant. You know, have you ever seen the two of them together? She knows what they're doing, and he's like, yes, dear, right? Which, by the way, that's one way to do it, right?
Elon Musk is only rich because of his parents, and I'm pretty sure they have slave trade money from South Africa. Like,
Cool.
that's the only reason he is.
I know my family didn't have any of that, because I think we were slaves, actually.
Yeah.
Irish slaves. Yes? No? No? I found out more about that when I read this. I think I mentioned this one already. White cargo pants. No, that's not it. What happened to the book? Here it is. So, yeah, I did mention it. Yeah, because it started out, slavery is, you know, it's worldwide. It's not actually unique to us. What is unique to us is that England and the United States did away with slavery. France did away with it too, although they insisted that the slaves that were no longer slaves pay them back. So if you look up Haiti, for example, Haiti revolted from France. And France said, okay, provided you pay us. What? No. I could see people.
That's true, it's just ridiculous.
Yes.
So,
Well,
okay, I know we took your life away from you, you're not divine,
Plantation-
that's what back.
How are they gonna get the money?
Pay us.
otherwise we're going to come back and take the island back.
Where?
So if you want your freedom, okay, but you pay us this. That was a lot,
It
actually.
should be the other way around.
Plantation owners that lost their slaves weren't paid anything, but the plantation owners were.
I remember you saying that it's cheaper to pay people terrible wages.
It's not. It's not
I
my
know,
fault.
it's not your-
It's not my fault. I'm just
It's not your fault,
bearer
but
of bad
it's-
news. The economy discovered that it's actually cheaper not to own the person, but instead to just pay miserable wages to people to do a job and then and fire them if they don't, etc. It turns out to be actually cheaper for them, and you end up with people like that work at Walmart also needing different kinds of social programs in order to feed their families and so on.
I
I've got to
have
quit, right?
a thing to say about Karl Marx real quick, because I don't agree with any of his philosophy. First of all, you said that thing about how can you pull up your page? Because I've kind of forgotten what I was trying to say. The concept of alienation with like religion and stuff. You can't allow people to be selfish in a communist society. It will crumble. That's just how it is, humans are like that, so like, I don't know how he expected it to go well.
Well, he never had to, he lived a very poor life up until towards the end. Engels, his friend that he met, was a rich person and helped fund him and his family. And he eventually did make enough money that he became kind of middle class. Not quite. I mean, it wasn't really middle class at the time, but he became wealthy enough that he was able to live a decent life. But it wasn't for much longer because he was pretty old by then and ill. But
Never experienced the consequences of communism.
oh no, he was never in a communist environment because the first communist environment became Russia in 1917, which was when Lenin, who broke from Marxist philosophy to say that you don't have to go through capitalism in order to get to the revolution, you can skip it.
Speedrun communism?
Yes. What he did was say, instead of having a revolution after the capitalist society collapsed, instead, take the feudal society that we have in Russia, have a revolution getting rid of the noble class, and then create communism there.
And then you just
And
create
they
nobles again.
Well, no, they weren't even that good. That's the critique, is that they did away with a ruling class that knew how to rule, even if some were beneficent and others not.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of things you could read about, the different relationships that the nobles had to their serfs.
What I just mean is that they ended up with rich people hoarding money anyway. It didn't help.
Right. And then when the Soviet Union collapsed, it actually went right back to that anyway.
Yeah.
So okay, I've got to quit. But yeah, I'm going upstairs for a while. Although I had to pay for parking today. APU's parking lot was completely full from top to bottom. So I had to turn around and come back down and park and pay for 3 hours.
Oh, man.
Wow. I'm going to ask my wife for money because, she gets all the money for me coming here, and then I have to pay at $5 to park the car. Hot the top. It's wrong.
She's probably better with it.
Pardon?
I'm guessing she's probably better with the money.
Well, we are getting old enough that we're worried about that now.
How are you? Well, you
Her,
have children to pay for you.
her checkbook, she was wrong by a 0. Wow, yeah. Instead of $3,000, we had $30,000. So we were all worried, we got to be careful because we only have this much. And when we went to the bank to do the IRA thing for tax purposes, they were looking at it and said, "Oh, you have 30 something." Or actually, it was 40 something at the time. So it was like, what? Check your book. I was like, where did you miss
That's a big
a zero?
miss.
Because oh, I shouldn't be saying that while the camera's running. Shoot, everybody's going to know how much we have in our checking account. That's not good.